Hi everyone, welcome to the Beginner's Guide to Tableau Metadata API. We'll be using real examples in Tableau's GraphicQL interface, and everything we cover today is going to be available on GitHub for you to follow along. This tutorial is inspired by the DataDev community, specifically a DataDev Quest challenge. I want to specifically thank Jordan Woods for this challenge to help folks get more familiar with the Metadata API. So first, let's talk about what the Tableau Metadata API actually is. So unlike REST APIs that require a lot of endpoints and give you much more data than you need, the Metadata API uses GraphicQL, which basically means you can request exactly the information you want in one single query. So instead of clicking through the web interface to gather information, you can write a single query, get structured data back that you can use in scripts, reports, or other applications. As I mentioned, everything you see today is going to be on GitHub. There are two parts. This is going to be the beginner tutorial, but there's also an intermediate tutorial, which covers a little bit more advanced techniques. All right, first thing you want to do is sign into Tableau Server. Once you're in there, you're going to want to look for the external assets portion. And once inside there, you see all of your various data sources. If you look in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see query metadata. This is the GraphicQL interface that we're going to be using today. I'm going to go ahead and exclude. So you'll notice inside the interface, there's three main parts. The left-hand side is the query pane. This is where we're going to write all of our GraphicQL queries. At the bottom, you'll see this query variables section, which we'll be using, not in this tutorial, but you'll get a chance to use this in the intermediate tutorial. On the right-hand side is the results pane. This is going to show you basically all of your responses in JSON. And over to the right, you're going to notice a section here that provides a lot more information on individual queries. All right, let's start with our first example. I'm going to go ahead and remove this just to clean up our space here. We're going to query for a list of workbooks, all with some basic information. And I'm going to go ahead and type this step by step so you can see the proper syntax. So first step, and this is a helpful tip, if you click Control Spacebar, so one useful feature is if you click Control Space in the query pane, you'll also get auto completion that basically shows you all of the available fields. So this is incredibly helpful when you're exploring to see what data is available. We're going to be focusing our time just on query. So first step, you're going to want to name your query. This part's not required, but I think it's very helpful to keep things organized and structured. So we're going to look for all of the workbooks that are currently saved in our environment. So I'm going to go ahead and call this all workbooks. Oh, let's try that again. And we're going to specify what type of query we want. So in this case, we're going to be looking up workbooks, and you'll see as one of our auto select, and you'll see one of the choices here, workbooks, which is looking to auto complete. Click tab to auto complete. And we're going to specify what information we want out of each workbook. So for the fields, I'm going to ask for the name. We'll ask for the unique identifier, the ID, and the resource path, the URI. So GraphicQL syntax uses these curly braces that you see here. These are used to define selections. You can basically specify exactly which fields you want, and the fields are comma separated. Let's go ahead and see what we come up with. All right, in our results pane, you can see what was pulled up. We've got the name of each individual workbook, we've got their ID, and we've got their resource path. So you can see there's a number of workbooks in our server. Now the second example that we're going to look at, go ahead and clear that. Second example we're going to look at, we're going to go ahead and filter our results. And this time I want to look for one specific workbook. So we're going to go ahead and query again. I'm going to look for a specific workbook. So I'll just go ahead and call this get specific workbook. And we're going to specify what type of query we want. We're going to look at workbooks just like last time. But this time, we're going to filter our results. So we're going to go ahead and use the filter function. We're going to specify what we're filtering. So we're going to filter by name. And we're going to ask it to look for specifically one of our workbooks called expenses underscore KPI underscore with spark lines. So it's important not to use spaces, and it is also case specific. So you're going to want to keep that in mind when you're typing up your search. So within the workbook, I'm going to ask it to call the ID, the name of the workbook. We're going to ask again. So this is the same information as last time, but I'm going to ask for a little bit more. I'm going to look for not only the basic information, but the owner of the workbook, this specific workbook. And I'm going to ask for a nested query. So for the owner, I'm going to ask for the owner's ID and the owner's name. Just to take it one step further, let's go ahead and ask which project this workbook is located in, just to make things a little bit easier. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ask for the project name. You can see here that the project name is at the same level as the other workbook information versus the owner specific information is seen here, indented. So let's go ahead and see what we get. Our results, notice the return is one single workbook. We can see the workbook's ID, the name, which is exactly what we were looking for, expenses KPI with spark lines. And notice here under owner, we have the owner's specific ID, their name, and the project in which this is located, Data Dev Quest. So it looks like our query was successful. So just a couple of key points. The filter, again, narrows the results to workbooks matching this exact name. The filters use JSON-like syntax, and multiple filters could actually be combined here. But for the purposes of this example, we went ahead and just filtered by name. But you could be more specific, filter by name so just keep in mind the IDs and URIs are generic and they're just used for demo purposes. So your actual results are going to show real Tableau server values. And that's your introduction to the Tableau Metadata API. So we've covered the basics of GraphQL syntax, how to filter results, and how to navigate relationships between objects. So all these examples again, plus detailed information, sample responses are available in the GitHub repository. The link is below. And again, under beginner, you can see all the information we provided today, as well as the examples and the solutions. So this is just the beginning. You can do a lot more complex filtering, aggregations. And if you found this helpful, let me know in the comments and I'll create a follow-up video covering more. Thanks for watching.